Hey, it's DJ. Before we get into today's episode, I wanted to let you know about something I just launched. If your caseload isn't full and you're not sure why, I think my new full practice review can help. I personally audit your Psychology Today profile, your website, your Google business listing, your social media, everything you have out there. And I tell you exactly what's working, what's broken, and what to fix first. You get a scored report, a custom niche statement written for you, and a strategy call where we walk through everything together. No guessing, no templates, just me looking at your stuff and giving it to you straight. 2 options starting at $4.97. Check it out at privatepaypractitioners.com/services. All right, let's get into it. Hey there, it's DJ, and I am back with the Private Pay Practitioners Premium Podcast. Y'all know how I like to do it. I go out and find the most fabulous therapists in the country, sometimes the world, and bring them to you. We are on this private pay journey together, and on this route, I found Dr. Matt Richardson. He's a psychologist licensed in Massachusetts, New York, Maine, doing telehealth in Florida. And the reason why I asked Dr. Matt to come in today is because he has this niche. When I saw it, I was like, that person knows exactly who they want to talk to, who they want to work with. And, I spent a lot of time working with clinicians on this. So, Dr. Matt specializes in high achieving millennial gay men navigating body shame, disordered eating, and anxiety. I mean, you can't get clearer than that, folks. So, welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so grateful to be here.
Yes. Tell us about your practice. How long have you been doing this thing?
Not very long. I opened my doors on the same day I got licensed in August of 24. So I came in knowing exactly what I wanted to do, knowing that I wanted to be self-employed, and I've been fully on my own for a little over a year now.
Isn't it something to set up shop?
They did not prep me for this in grad school. Let's just put it that way.
Exactly. And you've been in school, you went to school forever and a day.
Forever.
They didn't tell you how to set up a psychology practice. Isn't that a shame? That really frustrates me.
It really is. I mean, it's not just that. They don't prep us on how to navigate the system, the healthcare system. I didn't know anything about insurance. I didn't know anything about, um, the logistics of what it means to be a professional in this field. They train us really good for clinical work, but there's so much more to it than that.
Right, right. Like you have to learn how to write a dissertation, but no planning on how to establish a business when you get your diploma.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But it sounds like you maybe had an idea of who you wanted to work with from the beginning. Is that accurate?
Um, yes and no. I would say that it's definitely gotten more clear and niche down over time. But yeah, when I was in grad school, I realized that I was struggling with an eating disorder and had been for a long time without knowing it. And by that point, I knew that I wanted to work with gay men. I really enjoyed working with men more broadly. Um, and when I tried to find help for myself, I had a really hard time finding anybody in the eating disorder field who, worked with men, understood how these issues showed up in men, let alone worked with gay men. Um, so what I ended up doing was, creating the practice that I wish that I had when I was struggling.
Yeah, yeah. I remember researching eating disorders in men in undergrad. And I think this was probably before I even decided that I wanted to do work in human services. And, I was probably doing the research because it was an experience that I was having.
Yeah.
You know,
Research is
we're
me
it's
search.
I've never heard that. I love it. Yes, that is so accurate. I mean, that's how I got here, right? Doing this work, navigating private pay. It's because I had to research. I was like, I needed this, right? So I totally understand creating a practice based off of kind of what you needed and what you are now offering to the community. Tell us a little bit about how that journey has gone for you since you opened up your doors.
It's been a wild ride. I actually, when I opened my doors and went fully on my own, did end up taking most of the clients I had been working with at a group practice. And I would say the majority of them were actually straight. Most of them, if not all, were men. And I, over time, decided that it wasn't sustainable for me to work with insurance. And so I started pretty quickly detransitioning off and really trying to fill those openings with folks that felt like a better fit, while at the same time getting really clear in real time who that great fit was, not just like the presenting concerns, but their personality, or like how they show up in the space, like all of those things, what fills me up and what gets me really excited at the beginning of the workday. And now that I'm aware of who that person is, I'm trying to be really intentional about getting those folks, finding them.
Yeah. How are you finding them? What's your networking like?
Networking is the one thing that I feel like I'm doing right. So I have actually met with close to 100 folks in the last year. And before that, I was avoiding networking like the plague. I'm actually a pretty shy and quiet person by nature when I'm not working. Um, but I knew that in order to do this work and to build a successful practice, I had to do things that were outside of my comfort zone. And so
Yeah.
I made a commitment to myself. You know what? I'm going to just do this networking thing and figure it out. Um, and I feel like, over time, I've really started to fall in love with it. I've gotten to meet so many amazing people. I've learned a lot from the people that I've connected with. Some of them are really good friends now. They're huge supports and cheerleaders for me. Um, and none of that would have happened if I hadn't, taken that step. So that is the one thing I'm feeling really good about. In terms of marketing outside of that, it is still a work in progress. It's actually kind of hard, I'm finding in these days, to get in front of my ideal client.
Mm.
Um, and so stay tuned on how we navigate that one.
Well, this is the place where we talk about all the things. So I'm all down for brainstorming on this. I mean, because the population, as you niche down, it makes it really difficult sometimes to find that ideal client. I'll use myself for example. Most of my clients are men struggling with sex addiction.
Mm,
Um, Am I posting that on Instagram? Because yes, a lot of my ideal clients are on Instagram, but they are kind of caught up in this kind of like compulsive behavior where they're like seeking out images and things of that nature. They're probably not tuning in and doing a keyword search on me.
probably not.
Probably not. None of my clients have ever come from social media, no matter how much I post on the thing. Um, And then do I go on Reddit, which in my opinion is like a cesspool, but that is my opinion because of what my clients tell me they see on the thing. So I'm like, oh, do I go post over there? I mean, I could, you know? There was even a time early in my practice where I know that a lot of gay men struggle with sex addiction. Um, I tried to advertise on one of the apps, but it was like, it didn't feel good.
Mm,
I knew the ideal client was there, but I was like, it didn't feel good for me. So
yeah.
I stopped doing it. So I get it. It's like, how do you get in front of these people? And sometimes I think it's really being involved in like the community, maybe even community organizations, doing community talks. Have you done anything like that?
I've just started. I did
Okay.
my first public talk 2 weeks ago, and I'm signing up to do a podcast in a few weeks.
All right. So what was the community talk about?
It was for the New Jersey Counseling Association. Someone reached out to me, said they liked my niche and wanted me to present on it for counselors who wanted to learn more. So it's a really great opportunity. I was super grateful for it. But yeah, that was the first of probably many that I'm going to end up doing.
Okay. I'm hoping that they're going to also pay you.
They did. I made sure of that.
Yes.
Yeah, exposure is not
Woo!
payment.
Uh, my saying is I only do something free if it's my idea. So, if
Mhm,
somebody's reaching out to me, I need to get payment. So I really love that. And that's positioning yourself as someone who knows exactly what they're doing and knows that they need to be paid,
mhm,
you know?
yeah.
Um, and so doing those community talks, and then you say you have a podcast coming up. What is that one on?
Yeah, it was actually, recommended to me by a colleague who goes on podcasts regularly. It's a, podcast for disordered eating, and so it's hosted by a psychologist based in California who does this work, and she chats with folks with lived experience, chats with other professionals. So looking forward to going on there and talking about eating disorders in men.
Yeah, I wonder, like, have you spent any time communicating with primary care providers in the Boston area?
They are the one group that I've had a hard time connecting with. I'm sure you've tried to find doctors and their contact information, and it's usually hidden. So I've sent in fax messages. I've tried networking with people they may know. I've tried cold messaging people on LinkedIn. I've tried it all. It's hard to get in there and actually get some FaceTime with folks, uh, but plugging away at it.
Okay. Have you drilled down to find a niched primary care facility that works with LGBT?
Yes. In here in Boston, we have Fenway Health, which is an amazing organization. Unfortunately, they go through providers pretty frequently, and it is a big organization. So even if you can get your foot in the door, the people that you connect with may not be there too long.
That's okay.
Yeah, it is okay.
I
It's
think
worth
it's
it
okay
because they're going
because
somewhere else.
they're going somewhere else. Right. So even if you showed up, once a quarter or, once or twice a year, you're going to be meeting people. And even if they leave, they still know you.
That is true. Yeah,
Yeah.
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 It's worth another
But what
try.
about, yeah, I think so. But what about like in Seattle? When I was living in Seattle, my primary care doctor was LGBT owned.
Hmm.
And so even as a patient, they knew I was a therapist and it was helpful. I was right next door.
Yeah,
They
that does
sent
help.
people to me. And even though I'm virtual now, I have been for 6 years, and moved across the country to Georgia, I still get referrals from them. Yeah, because I'm still licensed there. Right. So I wonder if there's a LGBT owned business, because I think a lot of times the community wants to help the community, right? Get in with them. I would look up every LGBT medical uh, or allied health professional in your area that you could walk into and say hello.
That's smart. They can't ignore you if you're standing there.
Absolutely not. I mean, if an appointment's required, maybe you get an appointment. Um, but you are providing a service to the community that is needed, like hands
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
Your niche is so drilled in that there's no way possible that your ideal client cannot find you unless you are hidden. So you got to get out and about. And I know it's pushing you. You've already been practicing,
Hmm.
right? 100 people since you opened up. I mean, it's like pulling teeth trying to get some of my clients to talk to 2 people.
I do things in two speeds, not at all or intense. So
Okay. Well, this one we might want to turn the dial up, and get you in front of people. Because I know you're in Boston. There's a lot of allied health professionals that
yes,
are LGBT and who own facilities in your area.
yes. Yeah, and I've even looked into I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, no, no. Go ahead.
I've even looked into treatment centers specializing in eating disorder work, dietitians, prescribers. So been doing a lot of that, allied professional
Yes.
networking.
Addiction treatment
That's the other
facilities.
one. Yeah.
Yes. Yes, because, if it's a good addiction and treatment facility, they're doing holistic work.
Hmm.
So they're talking about nutrition. They're talking about, body and how you care for your whole self, right? So I think even getting in there, talking to some of their business development reps, those are the people who kind of go into the community to try to make those connections. I think getting in front of them, getting them on the phone, having lunch, they'll pay for your lunch.
All right.
Uh, yeah. So I think there's still some work to do, but it's fine because you're so early in your practice building.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's the biggest thing is the mindset of just reminding myself like it takes time. Rome was not built in a day.
This is true. This is true. I mean, a lot of people are feeling panicked right now. Yeah. And what I tell people is don't turn like we're dealing with wars, we're dealing with economic crisis, we're dealing with a whole lot of shit show, and you turn that in on you on yourself. Come on,
Hmm.
what would you tell your clients? That's what I say, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And I love what you said about like some of those connections becoming friends.
Yeah.
Tell
Yeah.
us a little bit about that. How does that happen?
By just, meeting with people repeatedly over time. When I went out on my own, a little over a year ago, I wasn't expecting it to be as lonely as it became. So what I ended up doing was starting a consultation group with other therapists in private practice who were felt the same way. And we have a group now of 9 folks. Some overlap in what we do, but a lot of diversity as well. And we meet every 2 weeks. And half the time we talk about clinical work, half the time we just hang out and chat, talk about each other's lives, build actual relationships. We have a group chat. And, it's been a great way to just kind of get to know some like minded folks. I've since started 1 or 2 other groups. So getting to meet with a lot of different people.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. This sounds solid, especially if you have a regular meeting,
Yeah.
which I think is helpful.
Yeah. And they get to know your clinical work as well and your personality. And I feel like that's so important when you're making a referral to somebody. Like, I know this person, I know how they think, I know what they're like and what it's like to sit in the room with them, and I trust them.
Trust is built over time.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
Yeah.
good. Have you thought about running groups for your ideal client?
Yep. I am doing that. I am running 2 groups right now, more broadly focused men's groups, and they're going amazing. Um, I tried to get a body image and eating concerns group for men off the ground. It's just been a harder population to recruit for. So I'm going to revisit it once I have a little bit more bandwidth and hopefully get that up and going.
Yeah, yeah. I sat with somebody one time and we had this idea about going into some of the local fitness facilities. They
Hmm.
sometimes bring in guest speakers for their patrons. And we thought about, wow, that could be an interesting way to meet your ideal client if that's something that your ideal client might gravitate towards after they, run on the treadmill.
Hmm.
They're going to do this like, info session. So that's something. Um, yeah. I mean,
Great
don't go
idea.
out and spend a whole bunch of money on like creating banners and stuff, or putting bus ads up like I did. Save your money on the bus ads. Um, But I'm really loving kind of like this idea of like what you're doing, and it's kind of how I do things is like you build a community. And the community is not going to stand by and watch you not thrive.
Right. Right. They're gonna do whatever they can to get your name out there to support you, and it's reciprocal. I put a lot of time in helping my friends get connected to people that they might be a good fit for and should know, plugging their name in rooms that they're not in, because I want them to succeed.
Yeah, yeah. What have been some other challenges that you've noticed on your private pay journey?
Um, I would say the money mindset piece is a huge one. In finding your group and really just, marinating in some of the content you put out, but also the wisdom collectively that others have shared has just been so helpful for me. I didn't realize how much money stuff I had until I started reading some of it. And I realized I was selling myself short. I wasn't talking about myself in a consistently confident way. And once I really started to sit down and think about that and think about what I needed to, you know, be comfortable and do quality work without burning myself out, I feel like things really changed and it made it impossible to stay on insurance for me.
Whoa, yeah. Okay. So was this like a 6 week kind of revelation overnight?
A bit longer than that. I mean, these were, I would say, like most of this year, definitely. I've been digesting in it. I knew that I wanted to go private pay for like the last 2 years. And I just spread it out as slowly as possible just to avoid losing income. But really over the last like I would say 4 or 5 months of just like really thinking about it like at length and reflecting on it. It just I kept coming back to the same things, and it was getting harder and harder to ignore, even though fear, I think, wanted me to.
Yeah. And do you think that even though you've been doing this work and you've been doing the money mindset, does fear still like crop up in your ear sometime?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. What does it sound like?
It's a lot of imposter syndrome. Are you really as good as you say you are on your website and in your materials? Even though I know that there's nobody else doing this work. Um, um, are you worth the fee that you want to charge people? Will people actually pay that? Is
Mm.
it worth the risk of going off of insurance in today's economy? And it just goes on.
That's a lot of noise.
It's a lot of noise.
That's a lot of noise. I mean, you're really speaking to, I think, the experience that a lot of us have, even myself. Like, listen, I've been in practice for 16 years and been private pay for about 10. Um, I still hear it. It's not that loud anymore. I just tell it to go sit down somewhere. Yeah. So, can you please take a seat? But the reality is, inside of that voice for me, there is something that I also need to hear, right? It may not be like what is saying to me, like, oh, you think you deserve this, or you think you can charge that. There's something else inside. So it's like doing therapy on yourself. It's kind of exhausting, right? Um, and usually it's like, the, you mentioned it early, loneliness
Mhm.
crops up, right? I'm sitting in this office by myself all damn day, unless I'm like, tending to my animals or my kid or whatever. Um, and I don't really see people in person, which I'm changing because I love in person, but COVID like changed the whole game on that, right? So that loneliness piece comes up. And then it's really sometimes I think fear of not being able to provide, you know, for my family if something were to happen. Because let me tell you this, if all the clients dried up and all the speaking opportunities dried up and the coaching clients dried up, we'd be dried up.
Mhm.
Because this is, I mean, my husband works full time and everything, but it's like, that's not enough. And shit. working him and me full time still doesn't
Yeah.
feel like enough sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's the voice.
And in my case, I am single, very single. And I live alone in, one of the most expensive housing markets in the country. And so
Mm,
it's real. I don't have a whole lot of runway to go before things start to get really scary. And so I think that was a big part of the fear. And, it's a valid fear. There's
yes.
validity in it for sure. Um, but there's ways to work around that and to plan for that. Um, and that's what I realized that, it's something to keep consider and something to plan around, but it's not a reason to never do it.
Right. Right. So, what I want the people to know is that, you hear that voice that says that you're not good enough. Um, Maybe ask it some questions,
Hmm.
kind of like you would
Yeah.
a client. And what you might find is like this real certain, like kind of fear, this real life, you know, hey, we might not be able to X, Y, and Z. That's legit. I would take that over you or nothing, right?
Hmm.
Like you're an awful therapist or you're a bad human. Like that's not what is actually happening in my opinion. But it's taken a long time to get to that place where I can say, well, let me go a little deeper
Hmm.
and see what is actually being said. Um, we're listen, I'm exhausted as a therapist sometimes. And so the pivot for me was to lean in into like my little side business, which was the coaching. I've been doing the coaching for years, but it really wasn't what it is today. And if I hadn't made that pivot, I don't know, because I was burning out, I think, from the clinical stuff. And I'm wondering for you, could you do some coaching or consultation or supervision?
Yeah, it's actually what's crossed my mind lately. Yeah, it's definitely right now is not the season for it, but thinking more medium to long term when the dust settles a bit, I would like to do a little bit of that. I definitely know that I have a lot to offer. I have figured this out, and I can help other folks who are behind me.
Right, because this is what my brain is thinking right now for you. If there's no one else doing your work,
Hmm.
then you are the person standing in the front of the line.
Right.
Okay. So you can turn around and teach the people, teach them, charge them, help them. Right. And for me, I don't think of it as like, oh, I'm potentially going to lose clients because I'm supporting someone else who might be coming in to do similar work. No, we're all connected. We're all connected. It's that community piece.
Hmm. And I
Yeah.
know that I can't work with everybody out there. I need more people doing this work.
You can't see everybody.
And I'm not a good fit for
Yes,
everybody either. That's the other piece.
that is true. So talk to us about that. How do you know someone's not a good fit and when do you find out?
Um, if I'm actually listening to my gut, I can usually tell pretty quickly in the consultation. One thing that I've learned along the way is that I actually need to listen to that voice and trust it and not operate from a scarcity mindset when, the inquiries are slow and at a drip. And I feel this pressure to take on whoever comes in. Um, I've learned from who sticks around and who doesn't. I really like working with folks who are motivated, who want to do in depth work, who aren't just looking for a space to vent or to talk about their weekly stuff. Um, and, I've just paid attention to like the sessions where I really feel like locked in and engaged and like in my element, and the sessions where I feel like my mind is drifting or I'm dreading this client session later on in that day because I know it's just we're stuck or it doesn't feel exciting or it doesn't feel energizing at all. So it's just paying attention to those things over time.
Absolutely. Yeah. You're sitting there talking to a client, but you're thinking about lunch
Hmm. Yeah.
or sleep,
Yeah.
you know, or picking up the groceries, something else, right?
Hmm.
That's important.
Yeah.
Um, I think being clued into that is ideal. And then you said something else that's super important is like the long-term commitment piece.
Hmm.
I think you and I may have a similar lens on that about therapy being a commitment. Can you talk to us about your view?
Yeah. I know I came to this from my own experience in therapy. Like, I know for me, that it takes me a while to open up and feel comfortable. I am not someone who's going to trust right away, and I need to kind of build in some reps with somebody before I'm ready to go a layer deeper. And the work I do, it's talking about some really vulnerable and sensitive stuff. And so the clients who are just coming in looking for problem solving strategies or how do I fix this, um, usually not a good fit because I know for me, like this stuff is layered. It takes time, and you're not going to really get there and unpack it until you feel safe with me, and that lends itself to long term work, um, where we can get you to a place where you're more stable, and maybe we can help you work on some other stuff that's lingering in the background that hasn't been addressed.
Yeah, yeah. I think the long-term work is beneficial to the client, is beneficial
Yeah,
to the therapist, is beneficial to the practice, of course, right? Someone has a recurring appointment at, what's your current fee?
300.
A recurring appointment at 300, right? Maybe weekly therapy. You don't need to see 20 people. Or you might want to see it to 20 people, but I wouldn't think you would. At $300 a week per
Mhm.
person. Yeah.
Yeah, that's 20 is definitely the cap for me. Yeah, especially with the groups that I run.
Yeah. That would be solid income. We we gotta get you there. We're, like, channeling, like, some positivity and sending them your way because I can tell you this, a lot of us therapists have clients that could benefit from seeing you. Now, I know you're, limited to Massachusetts, New York, Maine, and Florida, and so folks out there, if you're listening, you need to be in contact, because I think that what Dr. Matt is saying is so important in providing this high level of care for the gay men and men in general, I think. But you specialize it with gay men, navigating body shame and disordered eating. I mean, the culture, the community suffers. We suffer and through so many different ways. It's just like, before the show started, I was telling Matt, I was like, hell, I could have been your ideal client. Um, because you're talking about the stuff I've dealt with forever, you know? Um, and grateful to be in a different place with it. But I think we have to continue to find ways to bring the clients to you,
Yeah,
you know?
that is the goal.
I Yes, I mean, I want to be brainstorming because this is kind of exciting. I'm really happy that you are providing this kind of care.
I am too. When I was in grad school, I definitely wondered what I would focus on. And by the way, there was a time where I did not want anything to do with eating disorders. They sounded terrifying. But you know, to wake up every morning and know that like I am doing work that is so desperately needed in a population that's very underserved, and it's actually work that excites me, and fills my cup is everything. I'm so grateful that I get to do this work.
Yeah. You talk about filling a cup, and that is what's going to keep you in business for a long time, right? You are doing work that fills your cup instead of just taking anybody and everybody. You are specialized, very niched, and I think being in multiple states is going to help you as well. Now, it makes it tricky because you have to navigate, networking and marketing
Hmm.
in multiple states, making sure your website is optimized for multiple states, the SEO and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it takes work, but I think you're well on the way.
Yeah. One thing that I think is worth acknowledging is when I expanded into different states, it was operating out of that scarcity mindset of like, I need to have my hand in as many buckets as possible. And if I could do it all over again, I would do a lot more research and actual talking to clinicians on the ground in those states to understand what the local market is like, what they need. Because, Maine is a very different market from Boston. I did not know that when I was signing up, but it is much more of a blue collar state. They are a very hardworking and proud people up there, but it's a different clientele. And so, it's really important, I think, to, do some research before you expand and intentionally build relationships in those states. And, make sure that the services that you're offering meet a local need.
Hmm. Well, I think I think the need that the service that you provide will meet the need in almost all communities.
The
It's
one
just
mine
whether or not,
specifically, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just whether or not the people in those communities have ever talked about the problem,
Right. Right. If they
right?
have the words for it, if they recognize it as a problem.
Exactly. So I think for you, there may be a little bit more psychoeducation
Yeah.
in some of these places and with some of these providers, and probably less in, like, let's say Boston,
Right.
right?
100%.
There may be people in certain states who are not talking about this. Now, I know in New York, they're talking about it,
Yeah.
you know, maybe even Florida. Maine, I don't know a lot about. But if you're saying like they may not be talking about it, right? So that's where maybe a little workshop for clinicians
Mhm.
or allied health providers or something like that, charge a nominal fee and hop on a Zoom and educate the people.
Mhm. Yeah. Having a blog has been really helpful for me, getting
Yeah,
that out there to people.
right, right. You're doing it. This is exactly how you do it. And this is how you keep doing it.
Mhm.
you know, this is what you do long term. People always ask me, DJ, how many people do you talk to a week? There's not enough paper in the world. I mean, I'm always talking to somebody. I'm
Mhm.
always networking. I mean, and what I tell people is that any comments that I make on social media, any podcast episodes that I'm doing, any coaching, blog posting, all of those things, that is network.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's networking, right?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
networking, it's
So
marketing.
exactly. So what I would say to you is keep talking.
Yeah.
Okay.
That I'm not gonna have a problem with.
Well, listen, I just am so excited for you. And anytime you want to come on the show and you want to share something, like you start some new groups or something, let me know. I want to support you growing this practice because this is a needed service. And I wish you could see people everywhere. But what you can do is help teach the people.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful to be here.
Yes, of course. Tell us where we can find you.
Yeah, you can find me roughwaterpsych.com. You're welcome to email me, Matt at roughwaterpsych.com. You can also find me on Instagram, roughwaterpsych. I'm also on Facebook and LinkedIn. Be happy to chat, be happy to build relationships.
Awesome. Well, Matt, it has been a pleasure. Please come back anytime.
You bet. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Y'all, this has been DJ Burr for the Private Pay Practitioners Premium Podcast. And I'll be back with someone equally fabulous. I will see y'all next time. If you've decided to move toward private pay and you're not sure what to do this week, the Quick Start Toolkit is built for exactly that moment. It walks you through week 1, week 2, week 3, and week 4. Niche statement, referral outreach, your 30-second intro, and a 30-day action plan. Read it in an hour, come back to it when you're stuck. $57 at privatepaypractitioners.com.